Well, hey, y'all, I am so excited that you're here, and I am so excited for today's interview. We have Dr. Rebecca Babalov on here. And so, am I saying your name right? Am I doing good?
Yes, yes. And if you
Okay,
want to do it even easier, I can just be Dr. V. That's so much
okay,
easier.
Dr. V. All right, awesome. Well, so you guys, like, just what she has to contribute to women in this group from trying to conceive moms to, postpartum and women everywhere in between. So I love it and I can't wait to learn from her. Like me personally, I can't even wait to learn from her. So I'm excited. I think what she has to offer, you're going to love too. And so let's get started. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I'm doing great, and it is just such an honor to be here. I love this group that you've put together. I think it's just such an amazing community of women, and thank you so much for doing this. I wish that I had this years ago when I was having my first child.
That's exactly why I did it, because when I got pregnant, just the support around, instantly when you get pregnant, you're a magnet for everyone's horror stories, right?
Right.
That happens, right?
Yes, always.
And it's like, no, that's not what I need to hear.
Yeah.
But that just having information available, and especially information in one place, as much as we can put it in one place, like that's my dream, is just to be able to pour into women and give them as much information as possible so they're able to make the choices that they want to make. I mean, that's what this is all about, they get
Right.
to make their choices for their life in everything, but in pregnancy and birth, like that matters so much.
Yes.
And so thanks so much for being a contributor here and sharing your knowledge. And I hope that it helps so many women. So tell us a little bit about you. I know you're a mom. Like, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I am a Midwest girl through and through, born and raised in Minnesota. I keep on joking with my husband all the time, like, why are we still here? We have to deal with winters every single year. Like, there's so many warm states. Come on. But anyway, I'm a Midwesterner, and I am married to my college chemistry lab partner. And now, we've been married more than 6 years. We have 2 children together, 2 sweet boys. And I just love them with all my heart. I love being a mom. It's just a huge blessing. And then a couple days a week, while I'm not on full-on mom duty, I am a practitioner helping other women balance out their hormones, and some of them become moms as well.
That's awesome. Well, I married
Yeah.
my high school sweetheart, so you married your chemistry lab partner. That's pretty cool. So how did you get started on this journey? Like, how did you know, hey, this is where I want to specialize, this is what I want to help women with? Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, it was actually kind of a long process. But I can remember in middle school, I was probably even in 6th grade, I read this book, and it was a book about a girl my age who was pretending to be a doctor or something. And that's when the first idea popped in my head. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I want to be a doctor. My mom's a nurse, and I heard all her stories, and I just loved the idea of being able to take care of people. And so from the very beginning, I was thinking, what kind of classes do I need to take? I want to graduate high school early so I can get to med school early. And so being a medical doctor was actually my goal since a very young age. And then I shadowed some different surgeons and worked at a hospital in their cancer research department under a nutritionist. And I mean, I got really amazing experiences. But then I got sick actually myself when I was in college. And I started realizing, I'm not taking care of my body very well, and something needs to change. And so that's when I started diving into nutrition and just had this huge passion for what we're fueling our bodies with. And so I dove into that and did some fitness related things. And then I realized there's this thing called naturopathic medicine that really uses nutrition and herbs and supplements. And my heart just exploded. I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so I worked. Yeah. I didn't even know it was an option. So I'm very, very, very thankful that the Lord put it in my path. And I worked for a local naturopathic clinic while I was in grad school. And now I have my own practice. I have a PhD in natural medicine, and I have a consulting practice in fertility and hormones.
That is awesome. I love that. So, and I think that, like, you know, so many, I see posts all the time of, you know, hey, I'm looking for a more natural doctor. I'm looking for a more natural pediatrician, you know, all of that. And I think that we're so inundated with medicine, especially in the pregnancy and birth department, right? That we just gravitate there. And so we don't think outside the box too much, but then some people do. And I tell everybody all the time, like, I am not a crunchy mom. Just know, like, I'm not a crunchy mom. I tell everybody my bag got left open, like I'm stale. But I do what I can, where I can, in seasons that I can, you know, like, and that matters. But I also know, even though I'm not a crunchy mom, like, I know it matters. I know it matters what we put in our body. I know it matters. It affects our hormones. It affects so much, you know, vitamin deficiencies and everything. Like, I know that. I mean, I do my best all the time. No, but I should. Right? But I know there are moms in here who are crunchy. And that's awesome. And I have a friend who's a crunchy mom, and she makes like all this awesome stuff, you know, and so when I get in those seasons, and I'm like, all right, if I just put my order in with you, can you make extras and just send it to my house? Are we good with that? You know,
way to do it.
Yeah, that way I don't have to figure it all out. But anyway, so tell me, what is your approach? Obviously, it involves nutrition a little bit, I'm assuming. So tell me what your approach is to managing hormones naturally.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And first off, I also want to say that I have, even though I take a more natural approach in my practice, I still have just this great respect for conventional medicine. And I'm so glad that it's there. And when emergencies arise, we have these amazing doctors and surgeons. And so I'm not at all one of the naturopathic types of doctors who bashes conventional medicine. I think it's there for a place. But I think there are also other things that we can do that are a little bit less invasive in certain situations. And so when it comes to fertility, in all of my studies, what I've kind of learned is infertility, or the inability to conceive a child, it's not necessarily a disease. It's more so a symptom of an underlying imbalance in the body. And so when we see it like that, then we have to ask the question, what's causing the imbalance? Is it a nutrient deficiency? Is it a lifestyle related thing? Is it a thyroid thing? You know, there are so many different reasons that it can be, but my approach is always asking why and trying to dig a little bit deeper. And instead of just focusing on kind of what's presenting, like the symptoms, it's focusing on a woman's overall health.
So, and do you find that is the same during the postpartum phase as well?
Yeah. Well, pregnancy and postpartum, oh my goodness. Our hormones and our bodies just are on a huge roller coaster. And a lot of that is supposed to happen. You know, we want our hormones to be increasing throughout pregnancy to support the child that we're growing. And then postpartum, they naturally drop. And I mean, by drop, they blow off a cliff, you know, and in a short amount of time. It's actually the season where we experience the largest shift in our hormones in the shortest amount of time. If you think about like puberty or menopause, there are huge hormonal changes going on with those seasons, but it takes place over a course of years. It's not within a week.
Days,
and
right?
Days, right?
And you're sitting there
and,
going,
and so postpartum is
"Why
crazy.
am I crying?"
Yes. I mean, it is huge. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So postpartum, naturally, we are going to experience a wild ride. But as far as the postpartum season, that fourth trimester, there are things we can do to make it a little bit of a gentler ride. I like to tell women when it comes to hormones, I want you to get off the big wild thing roller coaster and go on to the kiddie roller coaster. Let's make it a little bit easier.
That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, here's my question on some of this stuff. So from like a doctor standpoint, right? From you have a whole lot more knowledge than just most of us moms sitting around, right? Even the crunchy moms who do all their research and everything else, right? So how much of this is fluff and how much of it is legit? No, we really need to look at this. And if you are legitimately having, issues conceiving, then no, go down this path. Don't just read a whole bunch of blogs. Find someone that can really help you, and even, going back to the postpartum phase too, like looking at that kind of stuff. So how much of it is just fluff? We're just going to throw stuff out there and see who bites, so to speak. And then where are the lines that we need to be aware of and look for?
Yeah, no, that's a good question too. And even with all of the education I have, I'm still learning new things every day.
Which is good. I respect that.
Yes. I'm not one of those, if I could be in school my whole life, I would be. I love learning and I love digging through the studies. I was a biology major and I spent my college years not like out partying and going to the football games. I was in the biology lab. And so, that's where my love is. I was like working on cadavers and trying to, do all sorts of crazy things. But yeah, there is so much information out there, right? And it's so helpful to have information on the internet, but at the same time, there is a lot of fluff for sure. And also, I think what it comes back to that I see so often is it's not individualized. My approach is I want to know what's going on for you. I could have 10 different women coming to me with the same concerns, but we address it differently for each one of them because their body is unique and there's not a one size fits all approach. We see that a lot in women's health, you have hormonal imbalance or you have painful periods or whatever, here's the pill. And it's just kind of like a one size fits all type of thing. And so my approach is so different where I think it can be helpful learning from different bloggers, mommy bloggers, and, people on Instagram that have these big platforms. But at the same time, they're not your practitioner and they don't know you. And so, yes, we can absolutely learn a lot. If you're really experiencing a lot of tough issues and you're not seeing any improvement, I would say, it's time to find somebody who can actually dedicate themselves to you personally.
Yes, and I know that you work with women virtually as well, right? Like you.
Yeah.
Okay.
My practice, even though I have it set up to see people in person, the vast majority of my clients are virtual. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So if you want to check out Dr. Rebecca Vavilov, we will put some information in this post and in the comments so you can find her too if you have more questions. But so I know that, I know personally that you are a believer as well, which I love. And I know that we've talked about some things, but is there a way, do you weave faith into this? Because for me, faith isn't everything for me because I can't separate it. Right. That's just me. Yeah. And that's not for everybody. And I get it. And, I'm still going to give you a lot of stuff about physiological childbirth and everything else in with that, that I just can't separate God from that whole aspect of things. So, do you have a foundation of weaving belief into stuff?
God is the author of life. And so when we're talking about fertility, I mean, we can do everything we can to improve our own health, but ultimately God is the one who blesses us with a child. And it's up to his will and his perfect timing as well. And so absolutely, you know, I love helping people with their health and improving their hormones and fertility. That's obviously a huge passion of mine. But my greatest desire in working with somebody is that ultimately their journey just draws them closer to the Lord and allows them to rely on him even more. Infertility can be filled with so many really tough emotions. And so just learning in the process to rely on him and trust him, and ultimately to be okay with whatever his sovereign will is, that is ultimately my goal. Yeah.
That's mine as well. But like, so you say that, and it's so crazy. I've been traveling and speaking for over 20 years. And so I share a variety of things, but one of the things that's near and dear to my heart is just to correct what we think God really says about, you know, birth and labor and that whole thing. But like on my, you know, fertility journey, like we had a lot of losses, and we were married for 10 years before we had our first. And so, I think that, I mean, the level of trusting and growing in faith in pregnancy, and then even the anxiety that comes, like, you know, when you get to your due date and you're at the end, and like, you know, just trusting this baby has an ordained time to come, you know, like, biggest stretching, like growing phase of my life in that whole journey. That's like, he used all of that and so much. And we waited 5 years on our promised baby girl. And he promised her, and, you know, it's crazy. And we never went through fertility testing, right? I let them do a few things, and they couldn't find anything really. But like, and so we didn't go through the whole gambit of things, but like, it matters so much on a level of trust. And I think we struggle a lot in turning it over to him, because we're constantly looking for things to fix. But at the same time, I also know that progesterone made a huge difference in whether or not I was able to retain a pregnancy at the same time trusting him. So, you know, we live in a fallen world. We are in exile, and there is a place for, you know, medical things to come through and matter, and you can trust him in the middle of all of that as well. So, you know, it's a huge learning and growing experiment, I guess. It's a huge learning and growing experiment in life. But anyway, so where do women, like, what's the point that they need to step in if they're trying to conceive, right? If that's the phase that they're in, and they're having issues, where's the point that they need to go, okay, I need to seek help? I mean, did they just go ahead and go, hey, let's have this checked out before I even start? Or, you know, is there a phase of like, no, it's been X amount of time?
Right. Yeah. So ideally, honestly, I want to see you when you're engaged because it takes a while for our hormones to balance out, even if we're addressing them naturally. And also, you just, to have the understanding of your fertility, I feel like it's not taught at all to us as women. And so I use menstrual cycle charting in my practice, so that we can determine when your fertile window is. You can only get pregnant at most 6 days out of the month. It's not every single day like we tend to think, you know, oh, I'm fertile at all times. And so identifying that, but also we can see if your cycle is following the patterns that it should, or if it's not. And then we can course correct. And also, you know, when it comes to nutrition, I mean, ideally, I would like to see every woman on a prenatal 3 to 6 months before they even start trying, because it takes a while to make sure that our body is nourished and ready to grow a baby. But that being said, that's not always the case. And many of us don't realize that there's something going on until we're trying to have a baby and we're not able to conceive. And that's when we find out that maybe there could be something hormonal going on. And so at that point, I always think the earlier the better, because you just, once you know what's going on, you know what to do to help address the issues. And so certainly some women feel like, well, I'll just kind of wait. Maybe I'll try this. Maybe I'll try that. And certainly that's fine. And each woman makes her own decisions. But the way my personality is like, no, if there's something going on, I want to know now. And if I'm going to start taking something, I want to know it's going to help. and so I ideally say, as soon as possible. But what we see in the conventional model a lot of the time is they will wait until a woman has lost 3 babies often before they'll investigate and do blood work. And that really breaks my heart. Why should we have to go through that much loss before we'll even investigate? I personally think that's an area of health where we're not serving women well. And there are many other times like that, the early trimesters in pregnancy where a lot of practitioners won't see you until you're 8 to 10 weeks along. I think that there's a gap in how we serve women. Yeah.
And I am a product of that and a witness of that. Like, we had to have multiple losses before, and I'm walking in to, now I'm that woman who pushed my provider beyond his limits sometimes. We had a great relationship before I switched to midwifery, but I would go in with stacks of paperwork and I would say, okay, so, and let me ask you this, do you get into the whole folic acid folate thing?
Oh yeah.
Or do you, okay.
Oh yeah.
What's your take on that? Because so I walked in with this question to my provider. I'm like, hey, talk to me about this. And he was like, that's nothing. That's just a theory. And I'm like, no. I have a medical paper right here from a medical journal.
Right.
Not just a theory. Let's talk about this.
Right. Well, there just isn't always a lot of nutritional training in med school. And so, physicians are incredible when it comes to knowing what pharmaceuticals might help or surgeries and things like that. Nutrition just isn't their area of expertise. And so a lot of times there just isn't even, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
That's one of my sayings. You don't know what you don't know till you don't know it. And then when you don't know it, you try to figure it out.
Right. And likewise, my field is natural health. And so do not come to me with all these pharmaceutical questions or ask me to diagnose you with something, because that's not what I do. You need to see your doctor for that.
Yeah. All right. So folic acid, folate, you believe there is 100% an issue there and a difference, and you would suggest one over the other?
Well, so there is a percentage of our population who does not convert folic acid, which is the synthetic form of folate, to its active form. And so some women do need to have methylated folate in order to use it properly. And even then, just when it comes to nutrition, the nutrients found in whole foods is a lot different than the nutrients made synthetically in a lab. It may look the same, but it acts differently in the body. Your body doesn't always recognize synthetic as it recognizes whole food forms. And when we're talking whole food nutrition too, eating an apple, you have all the vitamins and nutrients, but you also have all the fiber, and all these things work together. And so it's much different than just taking something that's isolated.
Awesome. Okay. So now I wanted to pop that question in there. So what is the number one most important thing for women who are trying to conceive to remember about natural fertility?
Yeah. So the goal of addressing infertility naturally is to restore health to your body. And if it took your body a while to get where it's at in terms of imbalances, it's going to take time to get out of it. And so it's not, you start working on something 1 month and the next month you're pregnant. And even, I will tell some of my clients that have a lot of things going on, if we're going to be doing a detox phase, I don't want you to get pregnant right now because there are certain supplements that it's like, this is really best. It's not something I would recommend to take if you're pregnant. And so let's wait a little bit. And that can be hard, because they're already waiting. But the way that I explain it to my clients is you're preparing your body for your child. You're doing this for your baby. It's not just, it is for you, but it's also you're creating a welcoming environment inside your uterus for that little child to grow for 9 months. And so it's worth it. And it's not all that long, it's a couple months that we might do some sort of a detox thing. And I don't do that with everybody, but it takes time. It's not overnight. But the goal is restoring your own health as well. And healthy mama, healthy baby, that's the goal.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited for all that you're going to be able to add to this group. I love it. And if y'all have questions for Dr. V, we'll just call her Dr. V. If y'all have questions, then we'll make a thread for those questions and you can just keep posting on there and or post below this video. And we'll try and get to specific questions. She'll be in here live so we'll do some live Q&As and things like that. Today, we just wanted to get to know her a little bit and get you guys familiarized with all that she's going to have to offer in this space. And we're really excited that she's here. And so, if you have specific questions, just post below. And we will see you guys when we're back in here, and she will be live in here soon. Thank you so much for this interview and your time and being a contributor in this group. We're so excited.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to seeing you all and talking to you more and helping you out.
All right. Bye, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.